नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto chapter 5 entitled The Meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev. So we will be taking verse number 18. Tatharabhya Nandasya Vraja sarva samriddhiman Vraja sarva samriddhiman Hare nivasatma gunai Hare nivasatma gunai Ram Rama Kridam Abhum Nripa Rama Kridam Abhum Nripa Tatharabhya. Beginning from that time, Nandasya of Maharaj Nanda, Vrajaha Vrajabhumi, the land for protecting and breeding cows. Sarva Samriddhiman, became opulent with all kinds of riches. Hare Nivasa, of the residence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atma Gunai, by the transcendental qualities. Rama Akridam, the place of pastimes for the goddess of fortune. Abhut, became. Nripa, O King Parikshit Maharaj. Translation purported by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Translation. O Maharaj Parikshit, the home of Nanda Maharaj is eternally the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His transcendental qualities, and is therefore always naturally endowed with opulence of all wealth. Yet, beginning from Lord Krishna's appearance, it became the place for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune. Purport. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.29, Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The abode of Krishna is always served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Wherever Krishna goes, the goddess of fortune naturally resides with him. The chief of the goddess of fortune is Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Krishna's appearance in the land of Vraja indicated that the chief of goddess of fortune, Radharani, would also appear there very soon. Nanda Maharaj's abode was already opulent, and since Krishna appeared it would be opulent in all respects. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Mena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitam Cha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I seek the blessing of all the senior devotees and assembled Vaishnavas. So we are in the midst of Krishna's Janmosthav. Basically it is called in Vrindavan as Nandotsav. We call Janmastami. And here now until this last 18 verses, so Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to King Parikshit about how after the birth of Lord Krishna, Nanda Maharaj got into this celebration. So now if we see practically in Braj Bhumi, the Brajvasis, they are called Utsav Premis. Anyone knows what is means by Utsav Premis? The devotees who like to celebrate festivities. So the Brajvasis, they are called Utsav Premis. And if we see in the future coming chapters, we'll find that Yashoda, in every step of Krishna's upcoming, she will celebrate so many festivities. So what we see, what Prabhupada explains, that because Lord Krishna has descended and the goddess of fortune, Prabhupada explains, Radharani also descends. And we should know that then in each day of Brahma, when Krishna descends, Radharani also descends. So one Brahma's one day is called a Kalpa, that has 1000 Chaturyugas. And during this, just last 5,000 years ago, when Lord Krishna descended, so Radharani, she descended before Lord Krishna. Anyone knows how many months before she descended? Radharani, she descended before Krishna. Usually Radharani, she comes after Krishna. In one sense, she should be younger to Krishna in age. But it is mentioned that during this Kalpa, when Radharani, she descended 11 months before Krishna. So at Raval, there is a birthplace in Gokul, Mahavan, Radharani's birthplace. So Radharani descended 11 months before Krishna. So whatever Krishna has some plans. And Srimad Bhagavatam gives one nice analogy that wherever the queen bee, anyone knows what is queen bee? This bees, this collect honey. So now those who are beekeepers, they know if you take out the bee, then all the other bees, they will follow that queen bee. So similarly now, because Krishna has descended, so Radharani also will descend. That is what is here, it is mentioned. And this is one nice verse in Garga Samhita. So Garg Muni has compiled one nice book, Garg Samhita. So in that he explains that while Krishna was about to come to this material world to eradicate all these kings who were big burden on the earth, so Krishna, he asked Radharani, would you like to go with me? I am going to the material world. So this nice verse, what Radharani explains, Yatra Vrindavanam Nasti, Yatra no Yamuna Nadi, Yatra Govardhano Nasti, Tatra Mena Mana Sukham. So what Radharani told Krishna, yes, I will come with you provided there should be Yamuna and Giriraj. Then I will come. So now we can understand Radharani is also little choosing. So that is what is mentioned about Radharani. She said, yes, if there is Yamuna and if there is Govardhan, I will come. And what we see similarities in material world, when Krishna comes, all the opulences, the stars, everything, they manifest automatically. Our Acharyas, they mentions that the energies of Lord Krishna, they work automatically. Nowadays we are in computer world, we have many things at our fingertips, remote control. So recently, last year, there was one US president, all of you know, he was visiting India, and he has his own entourage, Air Force One. And somebody had put that cost of his expenses per minute. It was around $2,000 USD per minute. That was the cost of operation for his visit to India. And wherever he went, there were festivities. Festivities means whatever it is, that is in a political sense. But here what we are seeing is, we are looking after how when Krishna comes, so everything is like a festival. One time, one Brajavasi, he was telling me, in Braj language there is a saying, Ek var no tyohar. In 1 week there are 9 festivals. In 1 week there are 7 days, but there are 9 festivals. So that is what is a saying in the Braj Bhumi. And presently what we see now, the Holi is already began from, anyone knows? Holi already has begun from Vasant Panchami. And also as a big Kumbh Mela is going on. So there is no dearth of festivities in Vrindavan. So that is what we understand. And last few verses what we see, if we just elaborate, and we can see that with the coming of Lord Krishna, Nanda Maharaj, he distributed how many cows Nanda Maharaj he donated, anyone knows? 2 million cows. It comes to around 2 lakh. 2 lakhs or 20 lakhs, anyone knows? 20 lakhs. So now Nanda Maharaj had 9 lakh cows. How come he distributed 20 lakh cows? This is another big question, isn't it? Okay. Nanda Maharaj distributed 20 lakh cows, and how many mountains of grains with jewels covered on the top? 7 mountains. 7 mountains of grains. So that is what, if somebody is attending regular Bhagavatam, I thought, let me check how many are coming regularly. So now further it is mentioned that Sukadeva Goswami also uses one new word, Vrajapura. Also he explains Gokul as Nanda Vraja. He has given these 2 new names. So what he explains, that complete Braj was decorated with festoons, flags, different gates were made with varieties of flowers, garlands, pieces of cloths, mango leaves. The courtyards of the gates, the near roads were completely covered with sweet water and soaked with water. The further it is mentioned that because Vrindavan is land of cows, the cows and bulls and the calves were thoroughly smeared with mixtures of turmeric and oil. And it is mentioned that all the Brajavasis, especially men, women, they decorated themselves and they came and they offered blessing to Krishna. Now here what we see, now they have come to bless Krishna, and today we are speaking about goddess of fortune. So now in Vrindavan there are 12 forests. If you have gone to Bale 1, so their goddess of fortune is seeking the blessing of Brajavasis. Now this is very contradictory in one sense. Material world what we see, people are worshipping Lakshmi, Lakshmi, Lakshmi. But here Lakshmi, she is seeking the blessing of the Brajavasis. So after Kartik there is a Katyayani Vrat. After Katyayani Vrat in December, it is very chilled. And in December there is another Vrat. That is the time when all the Brajavasis, they go to this Bale 1 and they offer blessings to Mahalakshmi. Because Mahalakshmi also came to Vrindavan, she wanted to join the Ras Leela. That story comes in Garg Samhita. Most of you have heard. So now what we see here, what it is mentioned by Sukadeva Goswami, that all the covered men, they joined the great festival. Because Lord Krishna's birth was a great festival for them. And what was their opulence? They were splashing one another's body with curd, condensed milk, butter, Now we can't imagine. Today's world, it is literally impossible to imagine this kind of things we can have. And in one purport, Prabhupada writes that the real opulence is that Gavayo Dhanwan, Dhanyena Dhanwan. There's one nice verse Prabhupada quotes. Gavayo Dhanwan, who is a rich man, not one who has this paper money. In material world, there are top 10 millionaires, billionaires nowadays, whatever it is. Every country has top 10 guys, whatever it is. So they have only that paper money. But what scriptures they mention, that Gavayo Dhanwan, that one who has cows, he is the richest man. And Dhanyena Dhanwan, Dhanya means those who has grains. So in the olden time, the riches were counted the number of cows. Like Nanda, it is one designation. And also what we see, Nanda had below 10 lakhs, so he was called Nanda. And Radharani's father was called Bhanu. Bhanu means one who has above 10 lakhs. That is another higher designation. So one who has 10 million plus cows, he is called Bhanu. So Rishabhanu had more cows than Nanda Maharaj, whatever it is. So now here Prabhupada quotes this verse from this thing, Brahma Samhita. Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa vriksha lakshavrateshu surabhir abhipalayantam lakshmi sahasra shata sambrama sevyamanam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. So in the purport in Brahma Samhita, Prabhupada explains that he explains that with great reverence and affections, Krishna was served by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis. Also in bracket it is mentioned gopis. Now here what we see, basically what Prabhupada is referring is to Radharani, and we should understand Radharani is called Adi Lakshmi in the Puranas. Also Radharani is Allahadini Shakti of Lord Krishna. That she is pleasure giving potency, and she is also Shakti Tattva. Shakti Tattva means from Radharani the gopis, actually Radharani has 8 different bhava. That is a very high topic. And Radharani expands into that 8 gopis if we go in depth. And we see Radharani is also Shakti Tattva means from Radharani the gopis, they descend. And if we see the sequence, then the Manjaris, then the queens of Dwarka, then the Lakshmis of Vaikunta, then Yogamaya, Mahamaya, then demigoddesses like that. So from Krishna, from Balramji comes all the Vishnu Tattvas, the 4 Vishnus, that first Chaturviva, like that. So similarly, what we see, Radharani, she is the main descent from whom all these gopis and other Lakshmis they come. So in the Skanda Purana it is mentioned that Ashtasakis, they are the principal among the 3 billion gopis. It is mentioned there were 3 billion gopis during Krishna's manifest pastime, and each gopi had a group of 8 gopis. What we see, Radharani's group, she has 8 gopis beginning from Lalita Vishaka. So Lalita also has 8 gopis, Vishaka also has 8. And all other gopis, they have Ashtasakis, they also have. Each Saki has a group of 8 gopis, that is called youth. So it is mentioned that among the 3 billion gopis, there are 16,000 prominent, and 108 are more prominent, and 8 are the most prominent. And our Vaishnava Acharyas, what they mention, that in Radha Krishna's pastimes, Radha and Krishna, they expand in the form of Sakas and Gopis. Gopas and Gopis. Now the Gopis, they are of 5 types. We should know the Gopis, they are of 5 types. Sakis, Nitya Sakis, Prana Sakis, Priya Sakis, and Parama Preshta Sakis. The 8 Gopis, they are called Parama Preshta Sakis. They are the topmost. So it is mentioned that among them some are equally affectionate towards Radha and Krishna, while some are crookedly affectionate towards them. So now some gopis, their name will understand what category they come. Kusumita, Vindhya, Kundalata, Dhanista are known as Sakhis. They are more affectionate towards Krishna. Okay? Kasturi Manjari and Mani Manjari are Nitya Sakhis. They are more affectionate towards Radhika. Therefore, they are counted among the crookedly affectionate Sakhis. Now, third category, Shashti Manjari, Vasanti, Lasika, they are called Prana Sakhis. Then Samudhya, Madan Lalasa, etc. are called Priya Sakhis. Now we have the 8 Sakhis, all of you know. 8 Sakhis, how many here assembled they know the name of 8 Sakhis in sequence? Anyone? We should know 8 Sakhis in sequence. So that is what is needed. Anyone can tell in sequence? Lalita side there are 3, Vishaka side there are 3. Anyone? So that is a $1 million question. So I will answer in the end. So those who will answer, they will get that Mahaprasad. So let us see how many are there who can, who know who are the 8 Sakhis on the left side, on the right side. So keep patience. So let the time come. Okay, we'll go ahead now. So although these 8 Sakhis, they are equally affectionate to Radha and Krishna, still sometimes they are more affectionate towards Radhika. Especially we have Lalita. She is also called Anuradha. Sometimes she will boss on Krishna. She will tell Krishna, come on, you have to leave this place. So today, because here it is mention of this Lakshmi, and Prabhupada mentions it is Radharani. So we'll try to speak little on Radha Tattva. We are not qualified. So because we are now on the path of celebrating Janmashtami, Krishna's. So here we'll speak little about Radharani. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he has given a nice elaborate understanding of Radha Tattva. He explains that Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dui Deha Dhari Ananya Vilase Radha Aswadhana Kari. What he explains, Radha Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed 2 bodies. Thus, they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. So what Prabhupada explains in the purport, that the 2 transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are the puzzle for materialists. The description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation. But one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these 2 personalities. One is enjoying in 2. Sri Krishna is the potent factor and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. According to Vedanta philosophy, there is no difference between the potent and the potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from the heat. That is what Prabhupada gives the analogy. And we have certain deities in Vrindavan. There is no Radharani. Like we have Banke Bihari, Radha Vallabh, and also Radha Raman. Will not find Radharani there. So Radharani, they usually keep their jewelry and their dress. If you take a good darshan, you will find the Radharani jewelries and dress are kept. And also 5,000 years back, Vajranabh, he established the deities. That time he didn't put the Radharani there. Later on, just 500 years back, Jhanava Mata, when she came to Vrindavan, so she bought Radharani. Somehow, what we see, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he descended, he came to this material world to understand this thing, loving potency of Radharani. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. That is what we understand. So Padma Puran, it is confirmed that Sri Radharani is the foremost of the gopis. It is mentioned that Yatha Radha Priya Vishnos Tasya Kundam Priyam Tatha Sarva Gopeshu Sarvaika Vishnur Atyanta Vallabha. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Krishna, her bathing pond is similarly very dear to Krishna. Of all the gopis, she is the most beloved of the Lord. So, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions again that Govindanandini Radha, Govinda Mohini, Govinda Sarvasva, Sarva Kanta Shiromani. What he explains that Radharani is one who gives pleasure to Govinda, and she also the enchantress of Govinda. She is the be all in all end of Govinda and the crest jewel of all the consorts. Further he explains Atheva Sarva Puja Parama Devata Sarva Palika Sarva Jagataira Mata. Therefore Radha is Parama Devata, that the supreme goddess, and she is worshipable for everyone. She is the protectress of all, and she is the mother of the entire universe. Now we have in the Puranas, there is a mention of Ashtalakshmi. In Vaikuntha there is a Mahalakshmi, and from Mahalakshmi there are 8 expansions. And Prabhupada explains in some lectures that materialistic people, they are very much into worshipping Lakshmi. They want Lakshmi, money, money, money. But they never care for Narayan. So that will come to that point later on. Now what we see, now these 8 Lakshmis, they are Dhanya Lakshmi, Dhairya Lakshmi, Veer Lakshmi, Gaja Lakshmi, Santana Lakshmi, Vijay Lakshmi, Jaya Lakshmi and Dhana Lakshmi. So they represent prosperity, fertility, good fortune, good health, knowledge, strength, progeny and power. Also in Brihad Gautamiya Tantra, it is mentioned that Radharani is the foremost of Lord Krishna's consort. This nice one verse. Devi Krishnamayi Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mayi Sarva Kanta Shiromani Para. That means the transcendental goddess Srimati Radharani is the direct counterpart of Lord Krishna. She is the central figure for all the goddess of fortune. She possesses all attractiveness to attract the the personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. So we sometimes Prabhupada used to quote that Madan Mohana Mohini. Krishna is called Madan Mohan, but Radharani, she can even attract Krishna. So Kaviraj Goswami mentions Radhika Karena Krishnera Vanchita Puran Sarva Kanti Shabdera Yehi Artha Vivaran. What he explains that Sri Radhika fulfills all desires of Lord Krishna. This is the meaning of Sarva Kanti. So Lord Krishna enchants the world, but Srimati Radharani enchants even him. Therefore she is the supreme goddess of all. Sri Radha is in full power and Lord Krishna is the possessor of full power. The two are not different as evidenced by the revealed scriptures. They are indeed the same, just as musk and its scent are inseparable, or as fire and heat are non-different. Thus Radha and Krishna are one, and yet they have taken 2 forms to enjoy the mellows of the pastimes. To promulgate prema bhakti, devotional service to the Supreme Godhead, Krishna appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya with the mood and complexion of Radharani. So now Gaur Purnima is coming, and what we see here, Sukdev Goswami is mentioning how all the opulences they are manifesting automatically with the descent of Krishna. And Sridhar Swami in his commentary, what he explains that because Krishna has descended, so when Krishna is descends, then what happens? All his energies and all his well-wishers, all they descend. Also what we see, when Krishna he descends, all the demigods they descend to help him in the family of especially Yadu Vamsha. And those who descend in Vrindavan, they are basically the entourage from Golok Vrindavan. That is the understanding. Also here what Prabhupada explains, because Lord Krishna has descended and Lakshmi, Srimati Radharani has descended. Also in the Bhagavad Gita towards the end, Sanjay, he explains to Dhritarashtra, Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Sribhir Bhutir Dhanur Nitir Matir Mama. What he explains, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power and morality. So this is what is being told by Sanjay. And also Prabhupada quotes in Bhagavad Gita 1.20 that during the war, Krishna was on the chariot of Arjuna. So Krishna represents Ram, victory. Wherever there is Ram, there is a victory. So in the Ramayana there is a verse called Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitah. So the Lord is always, he is called the father of Dharma. And Krishna is on the side of Arjuna. Prabhupada writes that since Hanumanji he served Ram, Hanumanji also came on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. And because Ram is there, his eternal consort, Sita is there in the form of Lakshmi. That is what Prabhupada writes. So because today in this verse, in purport what Prabhupada writes is basically about the opulence. And in the Vishnu Puran, Parashar Muni has given a nice explanation about the opulence. Who is the Supreme Lord? The definition of Bhagwan. What he explains, Aishwarisya Samagrasya Virasya Yashashriya Jnana Vairagasya Iva Sannam Iti Bhagna Gana. That means, what he explains, the Supreme Lord is one who is in full 6 opulences, namely all the richest, strongest, most beautiful, most wise, most famous and most renounced. And we'll find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, oftentimes even Brahma, even Shiva, Narada, they are called as Bhagwan. So what Prabhupada explains, even if one has one opulence, like Narada is also called as Bhagwan because he is a renunciation personified. So the especially demigods and some sages, they are called Bhagwan, or sometimes they are called Maharaj. Maharaj, he doesn't have anything but he is called Maharaj. So that is the understanding. And throughout Bhagavad Gita, what we see, Vyasdev has quoted Lord Krishna as Sri Bhagavana Uvacha. So anyone can tell how many times Sri Bhagavan Uvacha has come in Bhagavad Gita? Is there anyone who can quote how many times Sri Bhagavan Uvacha? Any scholar, Bhagavad Gita scholar here? How many times Vyasdev has quoted Sri Bhagavan Uvacha? Who's that, 28? Oh, great. So give him nice claps. Chalo, great. Okay. So 28 times Vyasdev has quoted as Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. And also we see the Brajavasis, they consider as Radharani as their opulence. One time, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he was telling that some Brajavasis, they told him that we don't know who Lord Krishna is. We know Radharani, and because she worships Krishna, so we follow Radharani. What they say? Hamaro dhana Radha Shri Radha Shri Radha. So that is what is the understanding of Radharani. In Brajavasi, what they say, yes, our opulence is Radharani because she is worshipping Lord Krishna. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.5.21, Prabhupada explains, because today here it is quoted Lakshmi as Radharani. In one purport, Prabhupada writes, in Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord Govinda is always served in his abode by many, many millions of goddesses of fortune. Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Seve Manom. These millions and trillions of goddesses of fortune who reside in Vaikuntha planets are not exactly the consorts of Supreme Personality of Godhead, but are the wives of the devotees of the Lord and also engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead. This goes to the Lakshmis in Vaikuntha. Now we'll come to some quotes of Prabhupada, what Prabhupada writes about Lakshmi Narayan. Think always that money which is accumulated is the wealth of Lord. Wealth is considered to be the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and Lord is Narayan, or the husband of Lakshmi. Try to engage Lakshmi in the service of Lord Narayan and be happy. That is what Prabhupada writes. And also in one purport, Prabhupada writes, Lakshmi is Chanchala. Lakshmi is unsteady. So what Prabhupada writes, that Ravana took away Lakshmi, Sita ji, to his kingdom, And instead of being happy by the grace of Lakshmi, his family and his kingdom was vanquished. Thus, Lakshmi in the house of Ravana is Chanchala or unsteady. Men of Ravana's classes want Lakshmi only without her husband Narayan. Therefore, they become unsteady due to Lakshmi. They become unsteady due to Lakshmi. So that is what Prabhupada writes. So one time I was listening to His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, his lecture. This was in Bombay while Prabhupada was building that Bombay temple. And Giriraj Maharaj, he had arranged for a lecture at one of a big business magnate, Birla's house. And the Birla's wife, she was there and she was asking what will be the topic, what Swamiji would like to speak on the topic. So that day, Giriraj Maharaj, he said, yes, I'll tell Prabhupada to speak on how to become successful in life. How to become successful in life. So when Prabhupada came there, and that time what happened, the Birlas, they invited all big business magnates for that class of Prabhupada. And while giving class, Giriraj Maharaj, he was explaining that Prabhupada, first he glorified the people, those who are serving Lakshmi Narayan in their house. And later on, what Prabhupada, he said, that material world, everyone is trying to seek the favor of Lakshmi ji. Everyone is trying practically. So what Prabhupada said, we are not against worshipping Lakshmi ji. But we should learn from Lakshmi ji how to serve Lord Vishnu, that is Lord Narayan. So the Lord has three energies, internal, external and marginal potency. Then Prabhupada, what he mentions that people should be trained how to use Lakshmi in the service of Narayan. And he mentioned that Lakshmi can be chanchal and she can destroy the worshippers if they don't worship her with Narayan. That is what, then Prabhupada, he gave the example how Ravana, he was being destroyed because he wanted to enjoy Lakshmi. And that is what is happening in today's world. What we see, people they are getting into too much into materialistic way of life. They don't understand what exactly Lakshmi stands for. And in Vrindavan pastime, what we see, whenever Krishna is doing his manifest pastime, Prakat Leela. So now the Leelas, what they are going on, they are called Aprakat Leela. But during Krishna's pastime, what we'll see, our acharyas, what they explain, so the complete nature is in Krishna, tuned with Krishna. Like oftentimes in operation rooms, especially in warships, there are so many instruments and they are being operated on different levels. So similarly in Vrindavan, when Krishna is doing his manifest pastime, so what our acharyas, they explain that everything is in harmony. Like when the musicians, they are playing different instruments, so the main person who is controlling them, he has one stick and he is giving different directions. And when it comes to the orchestra, the symphony, so everyone is playing his instrument according to the music director who is giving them different indications. So similarly in Vrindavan, what we find that 5,000 years back when Krishna was doing his manifest pastime, so that time it is mentioned that the season was more or less the same. Like Vasant Panchami, now the season is, we don't need fan, air conditioner, no heating, nothing required. So more or less on the par. So there is one ghat called Dhir Samir in Vrindavan. If you walk across Vrindavan Parikrama, there is one ghat called Dhir Samir, means where the wind blows in a very cool way, where the wind is giving Radha and Krishna a cool blow. Now you are getting nice cool blowing. So the Kadamba trees, the leaf, when Krishna looks at them, the leaves, they become cups. The sun is being covered by the clouds. The sun doesn't give much heat. And all the trees, they give the fruits and flowers throughout the year. So Vrindavan has 6 types of forest, and there is one forest called seasonal forest. It's called Rituvana, and all the birds, all the other living entities, they are living in very harmony. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting Vrindavan, all the way from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan, so he recalled one verse in which that is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what he explains, that Braj, Vrindavan is that place where there is no envy, where one doesn't feel fatigued or even hungry or thirsty, where even that wild animals, they live in harmony. So now that is very difficult to see because of the Kali Yuga. But during Krishna's manifest pastime, during that time, what we see, so everything was in tune with Lord Krishna. Even when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Vrindavan, and while he was visiting the 12 forests, so oftentimes the parrots, they came, they sat on the hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they glorified Radha and Krishna. And whichever forest Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, what he saw, they were completely covered with flowers, although he visited in the month of November, December, January. But all the trees, they were bearing fruits, flowers. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that they felt that their old dear friend has come again. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, literally, he embraced all the trees. So wherever he was going, all the animals, they were following from behind, the deers. Even one time, there is one forest among the 12 forests on the way to Govardhan. There is one forest, Bahulavan. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was crossing through Bahulavan, so all the cows, they started following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all the cowherd men, they were taken back. So they all started licking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after some time they got solaced, then they went away. So we can understand that here our acharyas, what they mention, because Lord Krishna has descended, and because of him, his consort, Radharani, when she descends, all others, they are bound to come. Like when wherever the Prime Minister or President goes, all other entourage, they follow. So similarly, what we see in Vrindavan, so that should be our mood of understanding. It is not that now Krishna is not there, but now Krishna, now also the pastimes, they are going on, Krishna's pastime. So they are called Aprakat Leela. Aprakat Leela means the pastimes, they are going on, we can't see, like the radio waves or mobile waves or TV waves. So that can't be perceived by us. So those who are on a higher level, those who are on Goswami level, they can meditate and they can make out where Krishna is exactly now. There is a mention of Ashtakalya Smarana Leela. If someone wants to enter Krishna's Golok Vrindavan, the sadhaka is being told that he should always meditate on Krishna's Ashtakalya Leela pastimes. So if we meditate, now is the time 9 o'clock. Anyone knows what Krishna is doing right now? Oh, great. Chalo. So, yeah, now it is time for breakfast. So Krishna takes his breakfast, then he leaves around 9:15. He will leave Nandagaon. So Nandagaon is the central place. Now also if you go to Nandagaon and if you go on the top terrace of that temple and you look around Vrindavan, you will find everything is round. So it looks like a round halo. So now it is time for breakfast. So now we'll come for that question. Ashtasakis. Now, who wants to answer? Lalita, who are the three next to Lalita? No. I want in sequence. Lalita, who is next three Sakis to Lalita? Who are next to Vishaka? No, you tell me in sequence. Tell who are after Lalita. No, sorry. Okay. So there is one Prabhu more. No. You were in Mayapur. You should have, by now, you should have ingrained your mind. Okay, I'll give a small formula. LCCT, VIRS, not wire, coronavirus. LCCT means Lalita, Chitra, then another C, Champak Lata. T means Tungavedya. LCCT, VIRS, not virus. Vishaka, Induleka, Rangadevi, Sudevi, they are twin sisters. So now you can minus 2, Lalita, Vishaka, Rangadevi, Sudevi. You have to remember only 4. Very, very simple. LCCT, VIRS. So Hare Krishna. So, okay. Anyone has any comment or question? So, Mataji. Mic. Just switch it on.
Shastra says that Radharani appeared 11 months before Krishna. I never read that anywhere.
Yeah, there is during this Krishna's pastime, like there is one book in which it is mentioned Radharani descended 11 months before Radharani at Raval.
Which book?
Book I have to see, but many devotees they quote that when Narad Muni he went to Raval, so that time Radharani she descended, and after that, because when she took birth she was blind, Narad Muni, because he knows past, present, future, so he told that Vrishabhanu that after 1 year you do some festivities and you call Nanda Maharaj. So after 11 months Krishna was born, and when Krishna was taken there, so Krishna was a toddler, he went inside that bedroom and Krishna could know that Radharani is there, so he touched Radharani, she opened her eyes. So that is what I heard from many devotees who do this katha, especially those who take Vrindavan tours and all. But the exact reference I will try to find out. This is what is in different these things of Brahma, like Kalpa of Brahma. Sometimes Radharani is born before Krishna, sometimes he is born later on. Sometimes Radharani is born at Raval, sometimes at Barsana. Krishna is sometimes born at Gokul, sometimes he is born in Nandagaon. That is also is mentioned. That is what I am repeating what I heard. So I am not concocting my own thing. Many people they quote this. Now this is what I heard from our ISKCON devotees. Now I have to find out. Many they agree with me what I feel. Okay, any other comment?
Sometimes when we speak about, like, the gopis and, this incarnation of the gopis, or, generally, Bhagavatam Press, we don't speak so much about it. People sometimes feel fearful, like, that's way above my head, or, it's getting a little too insensitive area, so to speak. Although it's all there, it's all wonderful, but, so how should we, like, sometimes devotees want to study very carefully the deep, pastimes of Siddha Pranali, or just to understand their identity and the gopi, who's the Kshatriya. Is there a boundary between studying philosophy and hearing about the glories of Krishna and or rasa, spontaneous love? There should be some balance, yes?
Yes, if we read too many books, we become confused. I never go beyond Prabhupada books. This is what today, what I spoke is from Prabhupada books, and certain things what I heard from the Vaishnava devotees.
Thank you for this explanation. Is it necessary actually that the devotee, we open centers in the different places when we born? Or can we also go in different places? Is it more potent, the potential that Krishna gives to his devotee.
Can you make it short? Let the bell stop. Yes, yes.
Is the potential that Krishna and Guru give to the devotee is more potent in the birthplace where we are coming from? Or is it more potent to help also to open Bhakti Center in different villages?
Yeah, Prabhupada explained that all the temples of ISKCON, they are like Vaikunthas. So wherever the devotees are doing devotional service, that place is potent, equally potent. That is what Prabhupada has mentioned.
So because often I see why we don't go to Nandagon to open a Bhakti Center or Varshana. You could have ISKCON temple at Varshana or Nandagon. It would be very potent for that. All the Gaudiyamas can really to learn the standard of ISKCON. It's not that I think we are better, but I think the standard of ISKCON should be known in different places in Prague.
If somebody has the potential, if they feel they can do something, it is well and good. Wherever we have a good preaching facility, there we can do. So all places we are not welcome. In that we have to see the potential of the place, and according to that place we can preach. Then only we can be successful. So thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरि बोल।